Welcome to another Epic Ethics story, part of the Daniels Fund Ethics Initiative Elementary School program. As you listen to the story, consider the 4 awesome questions, inspired by the Rotary 4-way test. Is it true? Is it fair? Will it build friendships and community? Will it be helpful to those involved? Stay with us after the story for some thought-provoking discussion questions.
And now, Why the Crow is Black, an Australian Aboriginal story. One day, a crow and a hawk hunted together in the bush. After traveling together for some time, they decided to hunt in opposite directions, and at the close of the day, to share whatever game they had caught. The crow traveled against the sun, and at noonday, arrived at a broad lagoon which was the haunt of the wild ducks. The crow hid in the tall green reeds fringing the lagoon and prepared to trap the ducks. First, he got some white clay and, having softened it with water, placed 2 pieces in his nostrils. He then took a long piece of hollow reed through which he could breathe underwater, and finally tied a net bag around his waist in which to place the ducks. On the still surface of the lagoon, the tall gum trees were reflected like a miniature forest. The ducks, with their bronze plumage glistening in the sun, were swimming among the clumps of reeds, and only paused to dive for a tasty morsel hidden deep in the water weeds. The crow placed the reed in his mouth, without making any sound, waded into the water. He quickly submerged himself, and the only indication of his presence in the lagoon was a piece of dry reed which projected above the surface of the water, and through which the crow was breathing. When he reached the center of the water hole, he remained perfectly still. He did not have to wait long for the ducks to swim above his head. Then, without making any sound or movement, he seized one by the leg, quickly pulled it beneath the water, killed it, and placed it in the net bag. By doing this, he did not frighten the other ducks, and in a short time he had trapped a number of them. He then left the lagoon and continued his way until he came to a river. The crow was so pleased with his success at the waterhole that he decided to spear some fish before he returned to his camp. He left the bag of ducks on the bank of the river, and taking his fish spear, he waded into the river until the water reached his waist. Then he stood very still, with the spear poised for throwing. A short distance from the spot where he was standing, a slight ripple disturbed the calm surface of the water. With the keen eye of the hunter, he saw the presence of fish, and with a swift movement of his arm, he hurled a spear, and his unerring aim was rewarded with a big fish. The water was soon agitated by many fish, and the crow took advantage of this to spear many more. With this heavy load of game, he turned his face towards home. The hawk was very unfortunate in his hunting. He stalked a kangaroo many miles, and then lost sight of it in the thickly wooded hills. He then decided to try the river for some fish, but the crow had made the water muddy and frightened the fish, so again he was unsuccessful. At last, the hawk decided to return to his gunya, with the hope that the crow would secure some food, which they had previously agreed to share. When the hawk arrived, he found that the crow had been there before him and had prepared and eaten his evening meal. He at once noticed that the crow had failed to leave a share for him. This annoyed the hawk, so he approached the crow and said, "I see you have had a good hunt today. I walked many miles but could not catch even a lizard. I am tired and would be glad to have my share of food, as we agreed this morning." "You must have slept in the sun," replied the crow, "instead of hunting for food." "Anyhow, I've eaten mine and cannot give you any." This made the hawk very angry, and he attacked the crow. For a long time, they struggled around the dying embers of the campfire until the hawk seized the crow and rolled him in the black ashes. When the crow recovered from the fight, he found that he could not wash the ashes off. And since that time, crows have always been black. And as the ash bird he had become, Crow was also punished for hiding the food which he could not eat, by being condemned to live on putrid flesh. The end. Discussion questions. Why was it fair or unfair for Crow not to share food with Hawk? Hawk was quick to attack Crow. How could Hawk have sought a more peaceful resolution? Tell of a time where you felt that others were undeserving of your generosity. Which of the 4 awesome questions did Crow have to consider when feeling she had worked more than Hawk? Hawk failed to contribute to the evening meal, while Crow failed to share. What is the role of the community when we fail?
This has been an Epic Ethics recording, generously sponsored by the Daniels Fund Ethics Initiative. We'd also like to thank Colorado Rotary District 5450 for your service above self and support of peaceful schools. For more information about the Epic Ethics program, or to bring this program to your elementary school, contact us at www.epicethics.org.